Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Simi Solachiko. Amid the controversial Emirate Council amendment bills limiting the powers of the Sultan of Sokoto introduced by the State House of Assembly, Governor Ahmed Aliyu has reaffirmed his stance that the Sultan has no constitutional power to appoint district and village heads in the northwest state. The Sokoto House of Assembly had earlier held a public hearing on the controversial Emirate Council amendment bills, where the State Commissioner of Justice Nasir Benji backed Governor Aliyu's view that the former law presented for amendment was inconsistent with Nigeria's constitution. Prior to this, Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria (MACBAN) and the Muslim rights concern MIRIC, as well as Vice President Kashim Shettima, have said any move to dethrone the Sultan of Sokoto could lead to unrest in the nation with the proposed amendment bill. In the present law, the Sultanate Council has the right to appoint district and village chiefs, but the state government wants to alter that. The bill has passed its first and second readings in the State House of Assembly. If the amended bill take two. Can I start from there? If the amended bill is signed into law, it will strip the Sultanate Council of its power to appoint village chiefs and district heads in the state. Recently, the state government removed 15 district heads from their seats on the allegation of insubordination and aiding insecurity. However, a state high court has restrained Governor Ahmed Aliyu from sacking the 15 district heads, urging parties involved to maintain status quo pending when the court rules on the matter. Well, let's discuss this further. I'm now joined by a professor of sociology of law, criminology at Usman Fodio University, Usman Abdul Kadir. Thank you very much for joining me, sir. Now, what's your take on the controversial bill aimed at deposing the Sultan of Sokoto? You know that the state government has said that the Sultan has no power to make appointment. And now, as an elder statesman in Sokoto, what do you think of this situation?
If you look at it historically back, I think up to the time before this governor, I think that is a normal thing for the Sultan or the traditional emirs to appoint a village head, but they normally subject to the approval of the governor. Yes, that is the norm. Right from after the colonial invasion of the Sokoto Caliphate, all the powers to appoint, to discipline, to remove all the kings and so on is under the Caliph. So after the defeat of the Sokoto Caliphate, now the powers now have been centered on the Queen of England, who has the responsibility, the power to appoint, to remove, and so on. So that powers now has been vested after the independence to the governor. So you find that it is the governor that have the power to appoint Sultan and so on, but subject to the kingmakers sending at least 3 people. So the governor will choose among them. But the appointment, dismissal, and removal of any village head, that one is the power of the Sultan, not the governor. But maybe I think that is what the present governor, or perhaps the bill, trying to rectify. They wanted to shift or perhaps to change this law so that the powers now will be settled on the governor, not on the Sultan.
Now, the Sokoto state government is the second in the nation to change additional laws after Kano, although that's still in contention. Now, what do you think is prompting this change in these ancient laws?
Well, I think it's politically motivated. If you look at the scenario, for example, in Kano, you look at it is a detriment of Sanusi based on certain allegation, but it has some political motive or connotation. Also, if you look at Sokoto, there was since 2019 was the present governor contested with the former governor Tambuwal, and he was defeated by the former governor Tambuwal, which bring PDP to power. And since that time, it is seen that as if the Sultan have backed the former governor, PDP to be victorious in 2019. So after 2023 this year, the APC now were able to defeat the PDP, and then the present governor came in on board. So since that 2019 defeat, they have not forgotten. And then even when they are campaigning during their campaign, you find that some of the supporters were saying that new governor, new sultan, which means the moment this party assume office, the next thing is for them to come with their new sultan. So these are some of the background. And then also after this, immediately this governor was sworn in. There are certain institutions that was named after the Abdul, who is the Sheikh Usman. A university was named after him, and then the present Sultan's name was named Sultan Saada Abakar Teaching Hospital, Sokoto, and then former Sultan Ibrahim the Suki Sultan, 18th Sultan of Sokoto. College of education was named after him, and then Shehu Shagal. This government also removed those names, and then they said we should return back to the status ante, which means all those names should be removed. So that one is seen also as a slight to the Sultanate itself. Added to that also was a committee by the state government on the 27th district head in Sokoto, in which later April last April, 15 of them were sacked. So this is what brought about the some of the bickerings or perhaps misunderstanding or whatever you call it, and this is what brings about this present situation we are in now.
How do you react to the allegation by both Murik and Mieti Allah that the state government is planning to dethrone the Sultan of Sokoto?
Well, the reaction can be tied to what many people in Sokoto, and then tied to what I made mention that one of their party members, when they are during their campaign, they are passing through the House of Sultan. One person made mention, new governor, new sultan. So a vision correspondent asked him, what do you mean? He asked the man again, he told him that the moment there is new government, then there is new sultan. And I think this is what many people, even though the state government or the state government or some of the parties stalwart made mention that the claim is false. But even when the claim they are saying is false, but this movement of changing the tradition, Sokoto State Emirate laws, and then this chieftaincy traditional title laws is signifying or is showing, or perhaps many people are frenzy and afraid that that statement is what they are moving to. That's why Miete Allah, Murik, and many organizations, many individuals in Sokoto feel that yes, this with this amendment of this laws, it is moving to the detriment of the present Sultan.
Well, we understand that the Sultan represents not only Sokoto state residents, but is also referred to as the leader of the entire Muslim faithful in Nigeria. And what will stripping the Sultanate Council of its powers mean?
Well, I had wanted this question should be thrown to them, so they are in a better position to answer it. But many Muslims in Nigeria, and not only in Nigeria, perhaps West Africa, and many Muslims all over the world, they are concerned and feel frenzy and shocked about this quagmire, because the Sultan is representing an idea, an ideal of Sokoto Jihad and Sokoto Calvet, which is symbolizing a spiritual leader. So the moment you remove him, then at least as if you are removing history or cultural heritage of not only Sokoto's people, but entire Nigeria, because it's an old empire or caliphate that have around 358,000 square miles, including the present-day Niger, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, some part of Senegal, and perhaps the entire northern Nigeria, and even some part of southern part of Nigeria. So if you look at it, even in Nigeria, the Sultan is a spiritual leader for almost more than 100 million Muslims. So if I think many people are praying that the state government need to look at the consequences and repercussions of what they are doing now. And it is a prayer for many people. That's why we find that the tension is very high. Many people are afraid that if what this happened to Sokoto.
Some people are of the opinion that the traditional stools have now been politicized in Nigeria. Do you think that this is the case?
So that is one of the most unfortunate situations that we are in now, because the politics of politicians now are bastardizing almost every aspect of our life, being the traditional rulers, the religious grouping, or perhaps. So it's a very negative scenario that, especially in northern Nigeria now. Look at it. If you look at the Northwest and Sokoto State in particular is the statistic is showing that the Sokoto State had been championing as the most poorest state in Nigeria. And then also, if you look at the northwest region, we are one of the most backward region in the whole world, educationally, health-wise, issue of almajiri, issue of our school of children, what in almost all angles. You look at the HDI index, you look at the standard of everything. So instead of these governors now to focus on what matters, about how do we go out of this state of underdevelopment in terms of poverty and so on. But now this dispute or conflict between the state government and the traditional institution will only push the already existing negative scenario back. So it will only affect the quality, governance, and then the development of the people. How I wish they can be able to look at this state of the situation of this state in the northwestern Nigeria.
Mr. Usman Abdul Kadir will go on a short break now and continue the discussion when the program returns. Do stay with us. Welcome back. We're still discussing the issue of the Sultanate Council amendment bills, and Mr. Usman Abdul Kadir, a professor of sociology of law and criminology at Usman University, is still my guest. Mr. Abdul Kadir, these traditional chiefs are known to play roles of intermediaries that the government turns to for when they need information, in areas to combat insecurity. Now, is it possible that these same chiefs could, be guilty of insubordination and aiding insecurity in the state, like the government has alleged. How true can this be?
Well, it's also, you find that in Sokoto, Sarada and section of this government, it formed a committee in which these 27 traditional rulers were called upon for various, indicted on various charges. And one worrying thing is these traditional rulers, one of them were saying that most of these committee members are coming directly from the state government. Even the state government, they said they expect the committee members should be drawn from the local governments, service commission, local government chieftaincy appears, the Sultan Council need to be involved. And then these 27 traditional rulers need also to be given fair hearing. But unfortunately, the committee sat for only about an hour. So how can, within an hour, one can be able to listen to the accusations and counter accusation on 27 traditional rulers in just 1 hour? And that's how the committee dispersed. So after some weeks, in the same April, 15 of these traditional rulers were sacked. Unfortunately, also, the council members of the Sultan. They are beyond the just traditional rulers like that. They are the council members and the kingmakers of the Sultan in Sokoto. If you take the case of Sarki Hakim Benji, who was part to another village. Sarki Hakim Benji is holding a very, very sensitive position as the commander of warlord during the Sokoto Sultan. He is one of the kingmakers and then a councillor. If you take also the case of Jepi Kulgudi, Kelguri, and Sarkin Kabin Yabu, all these are very, very powerful kingmakers and then councillors to the Sultan. So that is also what was in the situation. So many people are saying that it's ill-motivated because the same people before they are having a cordial relation with the government, but now immediately after this government came on board, then the suspicion began. So therefore, they are saying that they are not giving a fair hearing, and then the committee is ill-motivated so that to nab them or to whittle them down. So all this also is, many people are translating it that is an attempt to whittle or perhaps eclipse the Sultan's power by first of all beginning with his emirs, his strong traditional rulers, councillors, and then also is aiming at his position.
Now, the changes to state customary laws are so far being changed by APC governors, as we've had lately. You know, former governor Abdul did it in Kano State, and now another APC governor, Ahmed Aliyu, is doing the same in Sokoto State. What do you make of these developments?
I think this question also needs to be directed to them. And many people are wondering and their mind are agitated on this. But any sensible person, whether you are an APC or PDP or ABGA or whatever Labour Party, I think as a Muslim and a person from northern Nigeria, was part of it from the northwestern part of Nigeria, where this staggering statistic is showing the region as one of the most backward. So instead of us to have a very good leadership and good governance, so that this state will be shoulder to shoulder with other state counterparts. Because if you look at it educationally, we are one of the most backward states, and then we are under this educationally less developed society state. And you know, there is no state or people that will succeed or perhaps will attend them without education. Look at it, the budget, and how much was they gotten? Trillions of naira put on their budget, what they are collecting. And the state is worsened by the insecurity, banditry, and insurgency. And you find that some of these governors, what they are spending in their office is higher, maybe more than 90% than what is put on the infrastructure. So when this scenario or this situation are, so how can a governor now centered or perhaps shift his attention from this this important issue to now what concern about the traditional institutions? So many people are worried, and I think that questions will hear or perhaps will know what exactly happened. But it's a very unfortunate situation.
Finally, how would you respond to those who believe that changing the Sokoto Emirate Council bill could cause a problem if the Sultan loses some of his powers if it becomes law?
Well, they are right. Even now, it's causing a lot of problem, because if you are in Sokoto now for the past almost 2 to 3 weeks, now even the atmosphere of the people you find is the talk of the day in the social media, in the day-to-day interaction, in our radio and TV channel, mostly private radios. So it's a thing of concern, because issue of leadership, issue of the position of the Sultan is not a joke, because the Sultan is an umbrella, is a pivot, is a leader for the entire Muslim. And this also, the present Sultan can be said to be an national and international figure in terms of what? Symbolizing peace, making peace move and developmental effort. Not only among Muslims, look at it, since the time he was he became a sultan. He's making a lot of effort to ensure peaceful coexistence and peaceful existence between the Muslim and non-Muslim, and then also between the northern and southern part of Nigeria. So he's a national figure that symbolizing peace and peacemaker, and is also a detribalized Nigerian. So removing somebody like him, or perhaps whittling his power, or perhaps torturing him emotionally, psychologically, or otherwise, it is not about him also. It's about us as a Muslim Ummah, as in Nigeria, because what we need now is sustainable peace, growth, and development of our society. We don't need anything rancor, anarchy, instability, mutual conflict, not only especially among Muslims. So this thing will disrupt our order, it will disrupt stability, and it will only push the state backward, like more than what is happening in Kano now.
Before and even during the colonial era in Nigeria, traditional stools were typically, generally valued. But what we see is that the value is gradually diminishing. What factors do you think are responsible for this?
Well, I think this negative trend now is more in northern Nigeria than the southern part of Nigeria. And unfortunately, it should not supposed to be so. You find, if you look at the history of Nigeria from the First Republic to now the Fourth Republic, this Fourth Republic is the worst in terms of good leadership and good governance. If you look at the First Republic, look at Tafawa Balewa, look at Sardauna, look at all the cabinet members. Most of them are chiefs, traditional rulers, emirs, obas, and obi. and is one of the best leadership and governance in Nigeria, where mostly the foundation of the developmental leadership in Nigeria record. Look at the Ahmadu Bello University, look at the Nnamdi Azikiwe, look at UI, look at almost all the infrastructure in northern Nigeria, cement company, NDIC, banks, whatever. So they laid a good foundation. And you find that most of this council of chiefs and then in the parliamentary system, you find almost a greater percentage of them are the traditional rulers. If I remember the Makaman Bidda, the Waziri of Gandu, Kashim Shah Ibrahim, and Ribado, host of them. Almost all of them, you find that they have traditional name. Because the First Republic, you are either from these houses or perhaps somebody of integrity. But from the Second Republic, that is where we are having now a bad leadership. From the good, the bad. Where the Second Republic, you find that some people of unquestionable and untoward behavior now are part of politics and politicking, and then they started having certain political position. But the worst scenario is the Fourth Republic now, where from 1999 to date, this is the worst. This is the bad leadership and governance we are having. That's why you see all these things are happening. Look at the trillions of naira that were given to these governors. Can they account it? There is no transparency, there is no accountability. Take all of them. How is there any one of them that doesn't have EFCC or ICPC cases? So instead of them to focus on what matters to us, look at this. Now many families cannot able to have at least 2 or 1 square meal. The higher skyrocketed prices. Many people cannot be able to cater for their day-to-day living. But this governance doesn't care. You find that instead now is this issue of fighting traditional institution or traditional rulers, which is it will only be inimical to our program. So I think this scenario of this Fourth Republic and the kind and character of the politician we are having that emerging as governors and so on, this is what brings about this thing.
Other Mr. Usman Abdul Kadir, Professor of Sociology of Law and Criminology at Usman University. Thank you, sir, for making time to be on the program. And that's all we have on today's episode. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.